New York in name, New Jersey in shame. When looking over the history of one of Major League Soccer's oldest, most notable and recognizable clubs, it would only seem normal for one to assume it's due to them being a successful and prosperous franchise of 30 years. However, for the New York Redbulls, this is not the case. Every team has a legacy. This is their legacy. This is their legacy of failure. Every strong, long-lasting structure and organization has a foundation: history. Here we have a foundation of frustration. The Red Bulls' problems can be traced all the way back to the early days of Major League Soccer, when they were called the New York/New Jersey MetroStars. Yes, even from the start, there has always been an identity crisis. Trans-state, if you will. They were more commonly just referred to as the MetroStars. The MetroStars were notorious for underperformance. Who can forget their first home game, when their own former Juventus defender inadvertently flipped a cross into his own net, handing a 1-0 loss over to 46,000 fans and the New England Revolution? This at first felt like a fluke, as the team did make the playoffs in their inaugural season, only to get curb stomped in the first round. This is only a taste of what is to come. Then in 1999, under Bora, or Bora no Mora as we've come to know him, is a dark mark in MLS history. The MetroStars gave the fans a record of 7-25, the worst in league history. This record still holds today. Incredibly, 1999 saw the MetroStars break another bad record. They actually had started the season winning and not losing their first 3 games as they did in the first 3 seasons. Strange thing to celebrate, but hey, let's party. The club missed an extremely hard-to-miss playoff system in 3 of the first 10 seasons of its existence as the MetroStars. Winning culture wasn't a part of the belief system back there in Jersey, except 2000. Oh, how can we forget the year 2000? The new millennium, the new MetroStars, it would seem. That's right. The year 2000 brought our lovely dysfunctional team to the top of the Eastern Conference, third in the Supporters' Shield race, and reached the MLS Cup Playoffs semifinals and US Open Cup semifinals. Was the season of giving, it felt like. Finally, giving the fans something to cheer for. Of course, it all ended in loss and letdown, but this was a step in the right direction. Hiring Bob Bradley in 2003 was a great move. Led the team to the US Open Cup final and a playoff berth in his first season. 2004, the MetroStars became the first Major League Soccer team to win a trophy outside of North American soil. This would serve arguably as the team's biggest accomplishment even to date today. With no final wins, title secured, and so on, this would result in a terrible answer: to fire Bobby. But hey, hindsight is 20/20, I suppose. Thus began Chapter 2. Disappointment. Rebranded. 2006, the MetroStars would become no more, as they were purchased by the notorious energy drink company, and the New York, yes, still calling ourselves New York, aren't we? Redbulls would be born. Essentially, we believe this club only still exists to continue selling and advertising this motor oil energy drink. However, a promising franchise and owner group, and the hiring of Brooklyn native Bruce Arena filled the New York soccer scene air with hope once again. Signings and additions like Claudio Reyna, Josie Altidore, and Juan Pablo would seem like this club was heading for Shangri-La. We'd see a roller coaster of events over the next few months, including the promising victory over Bayern Munich, followed immediately by a laughable loss to Barcelona in front of yet another massive sold-out crowd. However, Brucey Boy would lead these men to the 2007 MLS Cup Playoffs, where they would quickly meet their demise in the first round to, you guessed it, the New England Revolution. No reason to panic though, right? Wrong. 48 hours later, yes, that's all it was, Bruce Arena was no longer with the franchise. This would lead to several personnel and roster moves in 2008. They even had their highly anticipated rematch against Barcelona that year. They lost. They lost this one in even a worse fashion. 2008, they made the playoffs, and they were the last team to qualify, but they did qualify. Proving people wrong must have set the tone because they defeated the Houston Dynamo, who were our defending champs, went on to take down RSL, and find themselves sitting pretty in the 2008 MLS Cup Final. They were murdered by the Columbus Crew. The club's 2009 season was highly disappointing. They went on a 16-game winless streak and put their fans through a 23-game winless streak on the road. Yeesh. A few more personnel and coaching changes would be made, only for the team to finish with a league worst record of 5-6-19. Ladies and gentlemen, continuing with our anthology of agony, we introduce to you the Baka era, arguably the most popular and spoken about era. 2010 gave fans a new stadium, a new sporting director and coaching staff, and a new group of players to New Jersey. The veteran hire of Swedish manager Hans Baka for head coach seemed to be the key ingredient for a recipe of success. Names like Thierry Henry and Rafa Marquez would serve as cornerstones and key components for this era. This 2010 season, the Redbulls clinched first place in the Eastern Conference for the first time since 2000. New York also set an MLS record for best one-season improvement, finishing with 51 points after having just 21 points the previous year. Despite the improvements, the playoffs served as a friendly reminder that soccer in Jersey is never going to work. The Redbulls crashed hard in the Eastern Conference semis to San Jose. Following every great season, it seemed, would be a season of sorrow. 2011, the season started piss poor, with Henry's quiet goal-scoring form and issues with set-piece defending led the boys to an abundance of winless streaks. Failing at the 2011 U.S. Open Cup and losing in the quarterfinals of the 2011 playoffs would set the tone once again. Baka also received a lot of negative attention from the fans as he decided to not attend the U.S. Open Cup, and when he stated he didn't even know that he would lose so many players to summer international tournaments. Talk about lying on an interview. 2012 saw them lose once again in the Eastern Conference semifinals, followed by the release of Baka and the promotion of Mike Petke. If there's one thing this team loves to do, is restructure and rebuild their entire system and personnel. New sporting directors, new coaching, and a new system of mental toughness and aggression is now in hand, and it seemed to be the right formula. The team went on a 2-month undefeated streak and won the 2013 Supporters' Shield as the team with the best regular season record. The team would lose in the conference semifinals regardless. 2014 was another successful season, and they even made it all the way to the ECF this season to lose once again to their good old friends, the New England Revolution. After 2 very successful seasons, the team did what we could only guess. They released Petke and made a wild coaching change. Jesse Marsh, welcome to sorry Jersey, where dreams come to die. Marsh stated the team would play like an energy drink. Interesting, Jesse. Sasha Kleshchin and Bradley Wright Phillips were both incredible additions to the squad as they won their second Supporters' Shield, qualifying for the 2015 MLS Cup Playoffs, and reaching the Eastern Conference Final, where they were destined to lose to the one, to the only, Columbus Crew. 2016, the Redbulls would have the largest accomplishment in club history. I'll correct myself from before. They defeated their rivals, the team who actually plays in New York, 7-0 in the Hudson River Derby. This would be later referred to as the Red Wedding. Take your time to gloat. We know how the season will end. The top-seeded Redbulls fell in the conference semifinals to Montreal. 2017, they found more ways to disappoint. Getting creative with heartbreak and misery, are we? Curtis had to leave the club due to some confusing news. He stated the club and him failed to work through differing views, and team captain and longest tenured player Dax McCarty was sold. Thankfully, we saw the emergence of Tyler Adams. Breath of fresh air he was. But losing in the 2017 Open Cup final and playoff loss to Toronto really took us back to earth, or hell if you will. 2018 would be referred to as arguably the best season in Jersey history. The club won its third Supporters' Shield and reached the semifinals of both the MLS Cup Playoffs and the CONCACAF Champions League. The club would give fans no surprises as both ended in misery, and we saw our departure of Mr. Marsh. Losing Marsh, despite what some fans on Reddit might think, was an awful thing. This was your most winningest coach. This was the most winningest coach in New York history. Going forward, Armas would continue to pilot this kamikaze plane until the end of 2019. Here would have the Redbulls sell Adams and lose in the first round of the playoffs. Nothing different there. 2020, the Rona years. In comes Caden Clark, fan favorite and yet another breath of fresh air. The air became heavy once again with a devastating playoff elimination in the first round. The club would rebuild their roster and internal structure once again for the 2021 season. 2021 was a roller coaster of emotions. Aaron Long said so long to his Achilles tendon, but the team qualified for their 12th consecutive postseason. The 123rd minute of round 1 saw the Redbulls forced once again into the fetal position along with their fans. A bonding of sorrow. In 2022, the long-awaited return of Aaron Long and his Robo Achilles was on the horizon. 2022 was promising. They began the season winning their first 5 games on the road, went 6 matches undefeated away in the league and 8 in all competitions to start. Qualifying this season would be 13 straight years. 13 straight years of disappointment, it would appear, as the first round sent the boys packing. And Aaron Long said, you know what, I'm hitting free agency. And so he did. 2023 was fun. This little guy right here was suspended 6 games for a racial slur, because why the fuck not? Losing in the US Open Cup and Leagues Cup felt common now. But this time, they lost both on penalties. Gotta keep it interesting. They even didn't lose in the first round of the playoffs this year. I mean, they lost in the playoffs again, but not the first round, so that's a win. I applaud you. And here we are. Here we are. 2024. A fresh wound. A very fresh wound it is. A year of 0 expectations. A year no one expected anything different. If anything, we all expected less this time. But they proved people wrong. Having a roller coaster of highs and many lows in the regular season, they found themselves making all the way to the MLS Cup final against the LA Galaxy. Hell, even the Galaxy's best player was injured. It was finally happening. They had done it. They had done it again. They lost 2-1 and left the fans with a pit in their stomach. They turned frustration into art. We are in an ongoing saga of maybe and what could have been. So here's to the Redbulls, a team who will keep your hope alive, just to crush it each season, every season, in the playoffs.